He is a fellow Texan, and he's going to have a good message about some things that we can practically do here in our state, and really work to get out the vote and not be put in a corner and not be silenced. Pastor Welch, come on up.
Thank you. It's a privilege to be here. There are two things I want to address today. Religious freedom being one of the foundational, so we'll get to that in just a moment. But in following up with Alan Parker, who's one of Texas' great leaders doing outstanding work protecting our religious liberties across America, that what we're dealing with here is a Supreme Court race, not just between two individuals running for the same position, but the bottom line at stake here is what Texas stands for and represents. Because this goes back to Harris County, which is where I'm from, and the beginning of this case against David Medina, where he was indicted by a grand jury for evidence tampering, where his wife was indicted and related to the burning of their home and the quashing of that indictment by a corrupt Republican district attorney, who I was one of the first to publicly call for his resignation on other issues prior to this, because he was ethically and morally corrupt. We did drive him out of office, he did resign, and we had issues like that, because at the end of the day, if we have unethical, immoral, corrupt people in office, we will have unethical, immoral, and corrupt government, which is exactly what President James Garfield said back in the mid-1800s. And much research has been done on this, and there's been a lot of stories written, and frankly a lot of misinformation about this situation. And it's about one simple thing: truth. And this grand jury was made up of people, several of which I know personally, and I can tell you they are rock solid Christian conservatives of the highest integrity. Now, what we do know is that the information presented to the grand jury was compelling enough to have a unanimous vote to indict this justice who is sitting on the highest court in the state of Texas. And the fact is that we had one of his cronies, the district attorney, without any justification, and frankly against the counsel of his own office, and in great offense, not only quashed the indictment, but they went out publicly and set precedent in attacking the grand jury. So what we're up against here, folks, is institutional corruption and lack of ethics in government. Not just Democrat, it's Republican, because at the end of the day, going back to some foundational things of our founding principles, John Adams said, he said, our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people, and is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. So if the morals of the people decay and corrupt, the Constitution must collapse. And we go back to the other elements of the Founding Fathers, and the signing of the Declaration of Independence, the man who was called the father of the American Revolution, Samuel Adams, said, "This day we have restored the sovereign, and from the rising and the setting of the sun may his kingdom come." They understood that on the foundational bedrock of our nation and our Constitution and our government rested the core principles of Judeo-Christian truth and ethics and morals. So we must stand firmly on that ground in those we choose for office. If we think for a moment that we're going to get good decisions out of bad people, we're fooling ourselves. So we have to start there in every office and not just look past voting records. We must look at who they are and who the people are. And that's what's at stake here. Go to Runaway Grand Jury. There's a .org. Some of you will find a flyer that's being passed out. Just look for yourself. Look at the information, hear the stories, and decide.